Owlbear Rodeo may just be the most useful tool for online Dungeons & Dragons, and it's free. What is Owlbear Rodeo? It's a virtual tabletop, but it's more than that and less. It doesn't try to be everything. It doesn't connect to other services, and it doesn't transfer information and things like that. It does one thing, and it does one thing very, very well. What is that one thing? It gives a visual representation of where your characters and NPCs and other things are in the world. That is so important because it's one thing to try to use theater of the mind and figure things out. It's quite another when you want to use a little bit of tactic and strategy. And let's be honest, Dungeons & Dragons is a tactical, strategic game, or can be depending on how you like to play. For us, we found Owlbear Rodeo simplified the process and just stayed out of the way and let us actually enjoy the game. It does come with some maps automatically, but I'll be honest, they're a little bit boring. But they're meant to just be plain generic maps that anybody can use. It also comes with tokens for every single type of creature, including characters and NPCs and monsters in the game, one of each. But you can import your own tokens, you can make your own tokens, you can alter the names on the tokens. Makes this a very versatile tool for online Dungeons & Dragons. How easy is it to learn? Well, honestly, it took me about 30 minutes to get kind of used to the whole system, and within 2 sessions of using it for online play, everybody in our group was pretty well used to it. There's only a couple of things that you just have to adjust, and we play every couple of weeks, so it gets a little bit you might forget from session to session one little thing, but for the most part, this was so much easier than Roll20 and Foundry. Roll20 was probably a little closer. We kept it very, very simple. We didn't do a lot of crazy connection stuff, but Foundry, I'll be honest, I got carried away. I added every single add-on I could do, and it was turning into a video game rather than Dungeons & Dragons. After all, we're not playing an MMO. This is Dungeons & Dragons. It's meant to be more imagination-based rather than seeing sprites on a screen attacking each other and seeing the effect on the screen. I would rather the DM describe what happens. That gives a lot more open playability, meaning you can have anything happen. I just need to know that my character's there, the NPC is there, and beyond that, it's all imagination. But knowing where characters are in the space of the game and seeing a map showing this building, that building, there's a forest, there's a river, is so helpful, even with a good description by the DM. Storytelling trumps everything. And using Owlbear Rodeo, I can tell that story a lot easier. Now, when I get to storytelling, here's what I mean. When we're in a town, I show a map of the entire town with all the buildings, and I'll just put a big token on the screen to show where the party is at any given time. Are we really using the turn-based system and moving and all that kind of thing based on the 30-foot movement squares? No, of course not. But it gives an idea of where you are and what you have to pass to get from this point to this point. Say you're at an inn and you want to go to the smithy, but there's 3 buildings between you and the smithy. Along the way, you might stop into one of those buildings, or you might see something along the way. It's one thing for the DM to describe that. It's another thing for you to see on the map where you are. Very, very cool. Just a slight difference. But you can do that with almost any virtual tabletop. Let's be honest. Another thing that I like to do is I put up okay, you're walking through the forest and we're going to do theater of the mind. I'll put up a picture of a forest as my map in Owlbear Rodeo. Just works really, really well. Gives a visual impression. Tavern, same thing. I'll have a tavern photo that I just throw up there, and that way you see a tavern and it gives you the impression. Do you need to see a visual representation of your token on the screen at that time? Probably not. Not that important. There are times that it could be important to show who's in a tavern, where's the bar, what's going on. Maybe a tactical situation could arise, so it's good to have that. Now, those are common for a virtual tabletop in general. Owlbear Rodeo is no exception that way. But where Owlbear Rodeo excels is in its simplicity. And its simplicity comes from the token-based system. I touched on it a little while ago, but the real power of the token-based system is that you can make your own. You can also use tokens in different ways. You can have a condition token, let's say, that you put on top of a player token or an NPC to show various effects. There are some built-in different color rings and things like that. I find them a little bit too difficult to see on the screen. So instead, I made some of my own for dead, knocked out, like an unconscious character that's not quite dead yet, somebody bleeding out. And I have a blooded, wounded, and a badly wounded token that I made up. And you know what? I decided, let me show you guys these. So I made a zip file of those images that you can bring into your game, and you can use them in your own game, showing all those things. There's a download link in the description to get those tokens for yourself. And then we're just giving those away because I just thought it was a really neat idea. And hey, I like Owlbear Rodeo. I'd like to see more people start using it. The folks that make Owlbear Rodeo actually do a lot of videos too on how to use it, and he goes into all these really cool ways of using the token system to make really interesting things. For us, we like to keep it relatively simple. I like to tell a story, and we like to use that visual representation just to give an idea of where your characters are in the space. When you're playing D&D online, there's enough to think about. Character sheets, roles, video chat. Why have your VTT be another thing stopping the flow of the game? So give Owlbear Rodeo a try. It does what it's meant to do and stays out of the way. As always, thanks for watching, and may the dice rolls be ever in your favor.